G'day, folks. Everything new under the sun. As we look at the return of the Lord, biblical, eschatological events, things that are leading up to the Antichrist and the 7-year period, we know that there's going to be war that's coming. There's going to be great evil and deception in the last days, and I think the world is leading up to a point where it's desperate and it is on its knees in terms of famine, economic collapse, World War III. So desperate, in fact, that it accepts an antichrist figure, a world leader that promises to bring them peace, that promises to feed them, and to fix their economic system by way of the mark that is in your right hand or your forehead, biometric ID. That's called an economic reset. That's what's going to happen, and that's what happens to all world currencies at some point. After I think 200, 250 years is kind of the longest running one. The economy and the current world reserve currency is reset, and they have a new world reserve currency, and that's what's happening. So there's going to be an economic reset that's going to reset all this debt. There's going to be a transfer of wealth from the poor to the richest of the rich, and there's going to be a worldwide Great Depression 2.0, and far worse than the Great Depression when it happens. It's going to be Mad Max, folks, and you're going to be left without everything, and millions of people will die during that period. And because of that, people will be so desperate, and that's when they will accept an Antichrist leader, a world figure, to come and save them. He will be their Messiah. So as it relates to that, we know that we're heading to war because the debt is great. It's unsustainable, and the U.S. empire is coming to collapse. They're coming to their destruction. The economic system is going to fall apart, and when it starts falling apart, that's when they take you to war, to distract you and to kickstart innovation and manufacturing and that sort of thing. And that's just what happens. But it's the big question is who's going to win World War III, and who's going to come out on top. And again, I think this next war, this leads to a world government, and not to maybe China or Russia or whomever else having the world reserve currency. And I don't think the West is going to win this one. Putin, this is interesting. Zero hedge. We talk about peace. Is anybody interested in peace? The West is not, folks. The West, we are not the good people in this. We may be saying we're trying to save Ukrainian lives and help them defend themselves, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of money. Just like the pandemic, there's a lot of money being pushed around, lining pockets and going into this, and it's a great distraction, again, from the political situation in the U.S., especially with Biden, and it's a distraction from the massive debt. It's a distraction from all the other things happening in the world, and that's what to use it for. So Putin was willing to compromise in 2022. Have they been talking about land for peace? Not really. Putin's the one talking about land for peace, and of course, the West always pressures Israel land for peace, but not in Ukraine. Israel is on the brink of a wider war with Hezbollah. Hezbollah's increasing aggression is bringing us to the brink of what could be a wider escalation. Remember, Psalm 83, the inner circle of nations is taken out first. Israel goes to war and addresses those, and then you work towards the outer circle of nations. That would include Iran, Turkey, and Russia. And so you have Psalm 83 describing a time when Israel is addressing and taking care of that inner circle of nations before they can really address Iran properly, so that they don't have people right on their borders attacking them, right? So this next war, and Israel has apparently, come up with a plan to address them, and they're going against them. Brink of war. In a military comparison, Hezbollah is far more powerful than Hamas. So it's going to be like a proper war, not just a U.S. going into Iraq sort of a war, or Afghanistan. This is going to be a actual war where they're going against actual numbers of military and trained military and significantly better weapons. This is Fox News. Hezbollah, bigger challenge than Hamas. Crown jewel in Iranian empire of terror. So, of course, they're a proxy of Iran, but they have much better weapons. With Israel on the verge of a third full-blown war against Hezbollah because of the Lebanese organization's constant fire of deadly missiles, drones, and rockets. The differences and similarities between Hezbollah and Hamas is now under the microscope. The Islamic Republic of Iran finances the Middle East terrorist movements, Hamas and Hezbollah, who have declared war on Israel and who are responsible for committing numerous terrorist attacks against American civilian and military personnel. So Hamas was kind of the small proxy group, with the basic weapons, and Hezbollah is kind of the larger group with the more sophisticated weapons and numbers and ability to attack Israel. And I think once Israel takes care of Hezbollah, Iran's going to know, the next stage of that fight is going to be Iran proper. And so Iran, once they see Hezbollah going down, that's it. I think it's going to be all out war because their proxies will no longer be there. This is an interesting situation that's cooking up in North Korea, South Korea. Casualties reported after North Korean soldiers cross military demarcation line. So North Korean soldiers are going across the border, and South Korea is firing back. This is a very volatile situation, and it's been increasing lately with North Korea sending bags of feces over into South Korea, and just, again, poking South Korea. It's almost like North Korea has been told to start up a fight there to distract the world from maybe Israel, from maybe Ukraine, Russia, to distract them, or maybe to distract maybe the West and NATO away from the war, so that they funnel more resources to South Korea, so that their intelligence is looking at South Korea and maybe not seeing as clearly what's happening in Israel or Ukraine, Russia, right? So to open up multiple theaters, this would be Russia and China's strategy to divide and conquer NATO and specifically U.S. military strength and forces. Here's one you knew about. I said this at the very beginning. IDF knew about Hamas plans to kidnap around 250 hostages before October 7th. I think there's no way that Israeli and IDF intelligence didn't know it was occurring, didn't know that it was going to occur. And remember, they took like an hour or something to respond, to get any helicopters in the air. And this, this is the strongest military in the Middle East. And it took them like an hour to do this. I think there's a lot of heads that need to roll here when they, in 10, 15 years' time, when they look back at this, should the Lord tarry, which he won't, they're going to see that there was even corruption there, and I think it was allowed to happen so that Israel could go in strongly against Hamas. Something big enough had to happen so that Israel could go in, so that the world wouldn't totally say, you're going in with no proportionality to take out Hamas. They wanted to invade Gaza and take out the terrorists, and I think rightly so, but they also needed an excuse on the world stage to do that. And I think, unfortunately, they probably knew this. This was part of their chess game in terms of the world stage. Intel documents showed detailed preparations for Hamas. Yeah, there's no way that the IDF didn't know that they were preparing. There's no way that they didn't intercept communications and recognize that this was going to happen and be on guard and ready for this. So, effectively, a military, it's disgusting. And I'm all for Israel. But I think they let this happen so that the optics were in their favor, to be honest. Now, here's the last thing. I think about the last days. This is CNN.com. Why are 3 of Trump's 4 criminal trials delayed indefinitely? I think ultimately all the trials will end in failure ultimately, or overturned. And again, I said it in the last video, it's not because Trump is innocent, but they don't take a lot of small crimes against political leaders. It doesn't happen, especially against presidents of the U.S. They don't go after these small crimes. These are just small things, and it's not worth it. But they're going after Trump, and they're making small crimes into big crimes with Trump. And a lot of things are coming out about Trump and Trump's sinful past. And you know what? All the Christians say, you know what? We're all sinful, absolutely. But the bigger thing is the corruption and the crime in terms of the lawyers and the attorney generals and the prosecutors, a lot of that truth is coming out too. The Lord's going to release the truth. In these last days, the truth is going to be revealed. And that's all the truth, not just the truth on the on the left or something, but but the truth about what's happening on the right as well. Watch for many leaders to fall, and the truth to come out about them and their private behaviors maybe. You know what? All of us have skeletons in the closet. All of us have sin in our lives, and I think these are all going to be revealed, and it's for a purpose and a plan. It's to get people on the right track. It's to correct their direction, and God's will is going to be done in this. So you're going to see a lot more truth come out, especially about the pandemic and all the corruption and money involved there. And it seems like things are getting worse, but if you're a lover of the truth, then you're going to enjoy the truth that's coming out. But that means people are going to get very, very upset. Satan's going to be very, very upset because the truth is coming out, and they're going to fight hard, tooth and nail, against that truth. But it's still going to come out in the last days, and because of that, there's going to be massive division. The love of many will grow cold, the Bible says, in the last days. And again, that's because nobody wants their secret lives revealed. Nobody wants the truth to come out about what is actually happening. They want their kickbacks, they want their corruption, and they want their power. And the Lord's revealing all. So a quick little video about the wars and the rumors of wars, as the Bible describes, happening in the last days. But know that the Bible also says wars and rumors of wars will happen. The end is not yet. And there's a lot of things coming, folks, before the 7-year period comes in earnest. I think we get to the brink of nuclear war, and even with nuclear weapons being dropped, and hugely hard times coming shortly. War in 2024, I think, is really the theme. I'll leave there, guys. Thanks for watching. Be prepared. Grow in your faith. Be ready to stand against the wiles of the devil in faith, and ask Jesus for that faith.